Well, ladies and gentlemen, we just witnessed something new this weekend. The first ever mile-and-a-half super speedway. William Byron got the win, and it was a demolition derby. There were a lot of wrecks. As a matter of fact, I think there were more cars involved in this race than there was at Daytona. I would talk about the race, and I'm going to a little bit, but I also want to talk about my thoughts on the Atlanta reconfiguration, because I said before I was skeptical about the reconfiguration and I wasn't quite sure how to feel about it. So I played the wait and see route. I just wanted to see, how's the race going to be? I figured, okay, they're essentially creating a miniature Daytona. There's going to be pack racing, but I also feel like that since they decreased the track width, that I felt like there were going to be a lot of wrecks, and I was kind of right about that. So how do I feel about the Atlanta repave? There were certainly moments of excitement. The racing was certainly interesting. It's something that none of us really have ever seen before, but I'll be honest, I'm not sure on it. I'm not sure what this, what's Atlanta going to look like, as the surface wears in. What's it going to feel like 5 years from now? Are we still going to get that same Daytona, Talladega type racing in a pack? Are things going to spread out to feel a little bit more like Michigan or California? And if the racing does spread out, do you get rid of the pack racing package, or do you stick with it? I don't really know, and it's going to be interesting when they return there in July, when it's going to be a really hot summer afternoon in July in Georgia, and with how hot the track surface can get, I'm intrigued to see what happens. And we saw a few tire instances with the Chevrolets. We saw it with Tyler Reddick, Ross Chastain, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., where they were up front and leading, and their tires went. Luckily, that did not happen for William Byron, as he hung on to get his third career Cup Series win, a huge win for him. You also saw instances where it was kind of hard to pass because sometimes there wasn't as much room, and there was a double yellow line in which Christopher Bell finished second in, but he did get penalized because he did go below that double yellow line. So, to give my thoughts on the Atlanta repave, there were signs of excitement. The racing was interesting, but I'm not sold. I feel like if you just did this as a once a year kind of thing, then I guess it's fine. Don't get me wrong, I love all the changes that NASCAR has been making, a lot of them. I'm glad they've switched up the schedule, that we're going to Nashville, Circuit of the Americas, Road America, we're going to Gateway this year. The Clash of the Coliseum was a hit. The next-gen car has been a hit. The number placements, I think, was a good decision because I think it's created some really badass paint schemes. This was truly like the first one of them where I felt iffy on, and I feel like maybe you could do this as for the spring race only, just as a special, fun kind of race. But some people are probably wondering, are they going to do this to other mile-and-a-half tracks? I would say don't do this to other mile-and-a-half tracks, because I know it's only been one other mile-and-a-half track that we've raced on, but the next-gen car ran pretty well at Las Vegas. And honestly, I have a theory that I think the next-gen car can perform well at a lot of the underperforming tracks that we've seen underperform in recent years. Heck, maybe even Chicagoland or Kentucky for that matter. While I still believe that you can make good racing without having to turn a race into a wreck fest, I will say that Atlanta Motor Speedway was pretty packed, and I haven't seen it that packed in quite a while. And the hype that was built around it, I think, paid off in the end for sure. The racing was certainly different and exciting for that matter. The big thing I'm curious about is, of course, with it being a new surface, it's not going to get any newer, it's not going to get any smoother. So what is that going to mean for this surface, let's say 3 years from now, or 5 years from now, or 10 years from now even? Will the racing eventually spread out? Will they continue to keep the super speedway package or go back to a more mile-and-a-half package? I think Kurt Busch said that the July race should be ran unrestricted. So as I think he was putting it as like racing as a mile-and-a-half track. So maybe if you wanted to have the spring race as a super speedway and then have your regular mile-and-a-half in the summer, you could do that. It's kind of like Bristol. They have the dirt race now, and then in the fall they'll have their normal night race. In the end, however, it shows that motorsports is continuing to grow slowly once again across different forms of motorsports, especially NASCAR. I still believe NASCAR is on the rise, You know, there's that NASCAR's dying crowd, but don't listen to those people because they're wrong. And NASCAR is continuing to build themselves and re-innovate and bring in these new fans that the sport also desperately needs, because we know the stereotypes the sport has been hit with for the longest time. All the whole, I only watch for the wrecks, or the fans are all just a bunch of crazy southern rednecks, which is not true. NASCAR is a beautiful thing. It really is. I've been watching NASCAR since 2004, so that makes it 18 years this year that I've started watching, and I will say we have seen more changes really in the last 3 to 4 years than I have in all 18 years combined, I feel like. Yes, growing up over time, there was the chase, and the formats of that changed. The Gen 4 then switched to the Gen 5 with the car of tomorrow. Then we had the Gen 6, and now we have the next gen car. And, you know, teams have come and gone, drivers have come and gone, but in terms of the sport itself, so much has changed going into 2022. So much has changed. And we're seeing it already 5 races in. So that being said, the Atlanta repave is certainly interesting. It's something that none of us really have ever seen before. Again, it felt like it felt like an NR 2003 race after you adjust the track INI a little bit. And I know that from experience. But I will say it is definitely an interesting concept. The racing was certainly fascinating. I could do without all the wreck, I could do without the wreck fest. I just felt like it kind of became a demolition derby. That's my only concern. It was just a demolition derby. And, you know, I still think NASCAR is... You can watch NASCAR without having to watch it just for the wrecks. I do believe that. But in the end, I think that the repave is certainly an interesting concept. You know, I don't know if they're going to do this to any other mile-and-a-half track. I kind of don't want that to happen, because then it kind of flames out the uniqueness, because now every track is like that, and it wouldn't be as fun. So, well, from bias, I guess I wish they would have done this to Kentucky, but I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole because I really don't feel like it, and I don't want to spread negativity. So, because, you know, there's so much negativity, especially on social media. That's really what I want to voice my thoughts on. I think it's a unique idea. It's a fascinating idea that we've never seen before, and I'm curious to see what innovations we could see next in the sport. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Update on Sunday Night Lights. I am halfway through the 1991 Cup season, so I'm almost done with the time frame that the video will have, 89 to 91. I'm hoping to get this video started soon. It's been a lengthy process, but I'm getting there. Also, I've been getting a little bit more involved with iRacing finally, so I've been doing that. And with that being said, I want to thank you all so much for watching. I'm SonicGirls831, and I'll see you in the next video.